Part 2 of the cosine law. Well, we've already seen that the cosine law can be used to solve for a side of a triangle if we know the other two sides and the angle that they contain. But it can also be used to solve for an angle if we know all three sides of the triangle. Here's how it works. What you want to do is start by writing the cosine law down. Let's write it down with a, b, and c. A squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cosine angle A. I'd like to do two steps here. I'd like to take this large negative term and move it to the other side of the equation where it'll be positive. And I'd like to move this a squared term to the right-hand side where it'll end up being negative. So in other words, I'm subtracting a squared on the right, and I'm going to add the large term on the left-hand side of the equation. So this will end up being 2bc cosine angle A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared. Then to isolate cosine of A, I can divide both sides by 2bc, which just cancels out the 2bc. That gives me the equation cosine of angle A equals b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc. So this is the second version of the cosine law, and this is the one we can use when we solve for an angle. Now there's two ways of looking at this. You can either memorize this formula, so I'll put a little star here. If you want to memorize this, you can. But the author of this movie has trouble memorizing things like that, so I prefer just to remember how to derive the formula. I remember how to do these steps. You have to make the decision for yourself. What's best for you? Let's look at how to use this equation. So here's an example down below where we need to solve for angle theta. So angle theta will be my angle A. I'll actually rename it angle A up here. And let's call this B and let's call this C. So that the 65 is equal to little a and the 80 is little c, and across from the b we have little 20. So we have our values for a, b, and c. That's a small c. And we're trying to figure out what angle A is. So that's a perfect situation for this second version of the cosine law. Well, the formula is right above, so I'll just copy it down. Cosine of angle A is equal to the fraction b squared plus c squared minus a squared over 2bc. So the cosine of angle A must equal 20 squared plus 80 squared minus 65 squared over 2 times 20 times 80. So we have to calculate what that is. And I'll just do that in OneNote. So I've done this in OneNote, and I end up getting the fraction 2,575 over 3,200. And that means that angle A will be the inverse cosine of that fraction, which I can again get pretty easily from OneNote. Notice that in OneNote, the inverse cosine function is programmed as ACOS, so ACOS or ARC-COS. So ARC-COS of 2575 divided by 3200, spacebar equals spacebar, I get approximately 36.4 degrees. That's our answer. Have a look at the diagram. Make sure it looks like it's about 36 degrees. Yeah, that looks like it's about 36 degrees, so I think that's going to be the correct answer.